everybody, it's Mel. Thank you for joining me today for May's TBR game. So, as usual, this month I will be playing my TBR game, which is Roll of Reeds. I will link my January TBR game down below because that is where I went through all of the gameplay and rules and everything that you need to know in order to understand and enjoy the game. It is linked down below. On that note, anyone else that I talk about today will be linked down below as well, so you can go subscribe, etc. But yeah, today I'm going to be doing my TBR game. Now, normally I would run you through a list of books that I potentially need to read in the month, and I would also run you through all the books that I did or did not read for last month's TBR, and then decide whether or not I need a punishment or a reward, or neither. However, I am in a little bit of a reading slump. It is not a terrible reading slump in that I'm still reading, but I'm finding the urge to read and the wishing to read is lessened, and I'm finding that it's difficult for me to really pick up. Well, currently, The Dragon Republic, which is a book that I do need to be reading, which is part of the Poppy War trilogy, and myself, along with Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany and Steph from Coffee Over Apples, are running the Poppy War read-along, so that's the next book we need to read, and I am not very far into it and I need to pick it up, but I don't feel compelled to read it, I think because it's quite dense, there's a lot going on, and I'm feeling like I need to read more simple books. Not that, more simple in scope, I guess is what I mean. So I wouldn't say it was a reading slump because like I said, I'm still reading, but I don't know, maybe it's a reading slowdown. So I've decided what I'm going to do for May is, instead of doing how did I do in April, did I read the books, did I not, do I need a punishment, do I need a reward, etc., like I just discussed. So I feel like I need a bigger pool, which obviously I have my TBR pile, my TBR bookshelves in general, with all the books on my TBR that I could choose from. But what I'm going to do, because I like playing the game and you guys like watching the game, is I'm going to do 10 rolls instead of my normal 4, but instead of I have to read those 10 books, I'm going to say, new rules for May. I'm going to pick 10 books, I'm going to put 10 prompts to get me my 10 books. If I read 3 out of those 10 books, I get a reward, and if I don't, then I get a punishment. So that is what's going to happen for the month of May. We will see if that helps with the general feeling, and if I feel like my reading slowdown has picked up again, I might go back to the regular rules for the month of June. If not, we might do this again. We'll see. But that's the plan for May. So I do have 3 books that I need to potentially fit on the TBR, or that I will need to read in May. So I need to finish The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, like I said. I need to read Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery, because that is one of the books that I'm going to be reading for the Jane Austen read-along, which is hosted by myself, Neva from Neva's Cozy Corner, Brooklyn from Brooklyn Reads, Margaret from The Word Nerd, and Christina. All the information for these read-alongs and things are in my Discord, which is always linked down below. That's where they're being run out of and the discussions are happening and stuff. So please go ahead and check out my Discord and join, even if it's just to have general chats with myself and some other amazing bookish people. Please consider doing so. It's always linked down below. Yes, and then I'm supposed to be reading Among the Burning Flowers by Samantha Shannon with a friend of mine, which we're supposed to have started this month, which we haven't. Well, I haven't. I don't know whether she has. I have not heard, so I'm assuming she hasn't either. So that probably should go on the TBR as well. That's all of the things I need to tell you before I go ahead and flip to past Mel, who has done the rolls already, so that you can see what prompts I have. And then we'll have a look at what books we're gonna pick for those prompts. So here is past Mel. Okay, let's place the permanent prompts 1 through 20. Let's shuffle the regular prompts. Okay, and we will place those out. Shuffle the punishments. And the rewards. Alright, and let's do roll number 1. 17. A seasonal read. Okay. Roll number 2. 13. Which it landed on. Random colour generator. Roll number 3. 13 again, so we need to take our punishment. Mental or physical health rep. We'll pop that there. Then we will do a punishment. Rowan picks a punishment again. Alright, and roll number 4. 7. Pole pick. Nice. Roll number 5 is a 1, which is out of my comfort zone. And I have a punishment again. Punishment. Roll over an unread book. Gosh, we're getting these ones a lot. And what roll are we on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. Central or Western Asian author. Roll number 7. 19. Most beautiful book on my TBR, and that prompt was suggested by Amy. Thank you very much, Amy. Alright, roll number 8. Oh, I didn't replace that. That's okay. I'll do that now. Alright, number 10. One of our permanent prompts for a project. Okay, interesting. 2 more rolls. 3. Book involving a journey. From Tracy. Thank you, Tracy, with that last month or the month before. Replace that card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Roll number 10. And it's a 2. That's our second 2. Definitely. Alright, Goodreads Choice Award winner. Interesting. Okay, let's replace that card. Pick up the punishment. Re-roll a 20. Well, we didn't get any 20s, so we don't need to worry about that. Alright, so there we go. That's our rolls. Future Mel, we'll see you soon. Hello, it is me again, Future Mel, or Current Mel, here to talk to you about the prompts and the books that I have chosen for those prompts. So, unfortunately, I had my prompts stacked in the correct order in which they came out from the board, from the rolls, and that was all perfect until about 2 minutes ago when I dropped them, and I think I've got them back in the right order, but I may be incorrect. So anyway, I figure it doesn't really matter that much. But here are the 10 prompts, including the punishments that I have from the game. So let's look at the first prompt, which is seasonal read. So in Australia, we are actually in autumn at the moment. We're in fall. We are on the opposite side of the world to many of you in the Northern Hemisphere. We're in the Southern Hemisphere. So I need to pick a book that is somewhat autumnal. So the book that I've chosen for this one, you will have seen on multiple TBRs, because I keep putting it on TBRs and then failing to read it. But that is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. So as you can see, we have quite a kind of misty situation going on, and some trees that are mostly denuded of their leaves, and some kind of reddy, well, they're actually like just decorations, but they look vaguely like reddish leaves. So I think that's quite an autumnal looking cover. So that is the book that I'm going to pick for this one. This is the second book in the, I'm not actually sure what this series is called. Oh, the Shepherd King duology. So this is the second book in that duology. The first one was One Dark Window, and it is a fantasy romance. So we are following, I believe we're actually following different characters in this book, which I only found out about recently when I saw someone talk about it on, I can't remember who, but if I remember, I will put them down below. But anyway, I really enjoyed the first book. So we're in a world where magic is linked to this illness that people have experienced or are experiencing, and it's quite debilitating, this illness. It seems as though the illness itself is what gives people magical powers. So there's quite a stigma attached to having magical powers, but there's also other magical powers which are given to the holders of these cards, which are kind of like tarot cards. I find the magic system, the two different types of magic systems, two different ways people get magic, really quite interesting, and I'm intrigued to see where the second book goes. I read the first one probably about 6 months ago now. I keep meaning to pick this one up and just not getting there, but I do need to before the first book completely loses my my memory. So, you know, try to say before I forget so much of what is in the first book. But yeah, that one is going on the TBR for seasonal read. Next up, I believe, was random colour generator. I think I have a spinner wheel. That's it there. Okay. So how this works is I'm going to spin this colour wheel. I will pop it on screen. I'll screen record and pop it on screen so you can see it. Then whatever colour I have to find a book that has that colour is on the cover of the book. So let's spin. Let's screen record first. Okay, let's spin. Okay, bubblegum. I don't know if I have anything on my TBR that could equate to bubblegum, but let me have a look. Actually, the first thing I saw was Angry Women's Choir by Meg Bignell, and I think you'll agree, don't know how well that's coming up, but that pink there is quite bubblegummy. Meg Bignell's The Angry Women's Choir. So this is a book set here in Tasmania. It is about Freycinet Barnes, who... Why don't I just read the blurb to you? Freycinet Barnes has built herself the perfect existence. With beautiful children, a successful husband, and a well-ordered schedule. It's a life so full she simply doesn't fit. When she steps outside her calendar and is accidentally thrown into the generous bosom of the West Moona Women's Choir, she finds music, laughter, friendship, and a humming wellspring of rage. With the ready acceptance of the colourful choristers, Frey learns that voices can move mountains, fury can be kind, and life can do with a bit of ruining. I've heard great things about this one. My friend Michelle absolutely loves this book, so I am excited to give it a read. Okay, then we had the same number come up a second time in the game. So the prompt for that was, I think this is correct, was mental and physical health rep, and then the punishment that goes along with that is Rowan picks a punishment. So I have actually not spoken to Rowan, despite the fact that it's been several days since I actually did the rolls. I completely forgot that I needed to talk to Rowan about the punishment. Also, he's been super busy with work. So I think I'm going to use the same punishment that he came up with last time for April's TBR. Partly because I haven't actually done that yet, partly because it's just silly. So, and because he's so busy, it's going to be easier. So that is to read a book upside down. But I believe I have chosen a book on my Kindle this time, so that should be a lot easier. So Rowan picks a punishment. We're going to use the read a book upside down that Rowan picked for April. And then the mental physical health rep, I've decided to go with the Tea Dragon Society, and I can't remember who wrote that book, but it is on screen right now, so you'll see. I'm going to borrow this from the library. It is a graphic novel. I believe you would probably call it a cozy fantasy. It is about these little tea dragons that grow tea leaves in their hair, I think. It's supposed to be really cute. Everyone that has spoken about this book ever has said that it's amazing and they love it, so I'm very excited to give it a go and see what I think. As you know, graphic novels aren't much in my wheelhouse, but I'm always looking to try and branch out, and I have been informed that it has got some, I think, physical health prep. So yeah, excited to give that a go. Then I have the prompt Central or Western Asian author, and the book that I've decided to go for with this one is The Lion Women of Tehran by Marjan Kamali. Now the reason I've chosen to pick this book is because I read another book by the author the last time that this prompt came up on my TBR, and I really enjoyed it. That one was the stationery shop of Kabul. And yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to read this one and see what I think of it. I don't know what it's about, actually. I just realized that I didn't look it up. I just looked up the author and was like, oh yeah, that's right, there's that book. But I believe it's probably going to be similar in that it'll probably be kind of a contemporary / literary fiction, potentially backwards and forwards in time and POVs. And yeah, it sounds really fun. If that's correct, it will be really interesting. And like I said, the other book that I've read of hers was absolutely fantastic, so I'm looking forward to reading a second book from her. The next prompt was most beautiful book on my TBR. So I have quite a few books that are pretty beautiful, but I'm going to go with Among the Burning Flowers by Samantha Shannon, because look at this cover. This is absolutely stunning. This series has the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. Some of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. Like I said, I have a few beautiful books on my TBR. I probably could have chosen any number, but this one is it's just beautiful. Now, I think that this comes between A Day of Fallen Night and The Priory of the Orange Tree in the series Roots of Chaos, and it is much shorter, which I'm excited about. This is a book I'm supposed to be buddy reading with my friend Alison. It is set in a fantasy world, and there are so many different people that well, I assume this will be the same. So many different people from so many different cultures and so many belief systems and so many different parts of this world, different geographical areas of this world, and it's all woven together into absolutely stunning fantasy stories. And I don't really know what this one will be about, but I assume that it will be similar to the other ones. I absolutely love the other two, and I think Samantha Shannon is an amazing author, so that's that one. Then I have Poll Pick. Now, I've put a poll up on Instagram. It does go for 3 days. I think I'll probably have to just input which one won when I find out in 3 days. However, let me show you the books I've put in the poll. The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. So this is a cozy fantasy. This is the second book in the series. The first one was The Spell Shop, which I absolutely loved, so I'm excited to read this one. I have The Sirens by Amelia Hart. This one, I believe, is like a kind of historical fiction / literary fiction, a bit of a kind of gothic feel, I think, is from what I can tell. This is by the author of Wayward, which I really, really enjoyed as well, so I'm excited to read this one. And then we have Boudica's Daughter by Elodie Harper. This is a retelling of the story of Boudica and then obviously her daughter. Boudica was a British warlord during the Roman invasion of Britain. And I'm excited to see what I think of Elodie Harper's writing style. I do have another book by her. I've had it on my TBR for a while, but I haven't read it. So anyway, I'm hoping to see what I think of the writing style, and I really like Boudica as a historical figure, so I'm excited to give this one a try. So those are the 3 books that people on Instagram could choose from. My Instagram is listed below as well if you'd like to go and check that out. Okay, then I have another punishment because I rolled a 1, and a 1 is out of your comfort zone, that's the prompt, and then roll over an unread book was the punishment that I pulled. So, an unread book from last month. Apologies if the angle, my position has changed. This chair is on wheels, so anyhow. So, for the punishment of roll over an unread book, I'm going with The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, which I did have on my TBR from last month, but obviously haven't got to it and won't. So this is a fantasy / murder mystery, and we are following a character whose name is Dinius, who is, it's kind of like a Watson and Holmes characters, and Anna is the investigator and she is the Holmes character, and then Dinius is the Watson's character and he is like her assistant. He's been magically altered to possess a perfect memory, so he's sent out into the field and she stays at home because she doesn't want anything to destroy, any other sensory input to destroy her ability to find the answers. That wasn't a great explanation, but I've heard really, really good things about this series and I'm excited to give it a try, so that's next on the TBR. Out of my comfort zone is my actual prompt for rolling a 1, and the book that I've decided to go with is The House Next Door by Darcy Coates. So this is a horror. Horror is quite out of my comfort zone. I think I've read some horror. I tend to be more kind of on the gothic side rather than the horror side, if that makes sense. But I've read one other Darcy Coates book before, and I thought it was reasonably good. I enjoyed the experience, but I've heard great things about Darcy Coates books, and this is a book I just so happen to have available to me on my e-reader, so that's a book I'm going to read. Don't know a lot about it. I think it's a haunted house horror, and that's all I'm going to worry about knowing. So let's see how we go with that one. Then I got another permanent prompt, which is 10, and for that one it is for a project. I think this is the first time I've got a 10 since I started doing it this way. So first time we've had a for a project book. The book I'm going to put on the TBR for this one is Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Merilia. I'm not going to tell you what the project is, but I will just tell you that it is a vlog that is coming up at some point. So this is a fantasy, it is an Irish inspired fantasy. So it is about Saoirse, who is the youngest child of Lord Colum of Seven Waters, only daughter, and it says, who alone is destined to defend her family and protect their land from the invading Britons. For Saoirse is the only one who escapes the cruel influence of Lady Una, her father's new wife. Exiled from Seven Waters and cast out into the forest and the terrifying world beyond, Saoirse falls into the hands of the feared enemy. Now she is torn between a life she has always known and a love that only comes at once. Daughter of the Forest is a mixture of history and heritage, myth and magic, legend and love. So that sounds really fantastic. I've heard nothing but amazing things about Juliet Merilia's writing. I really need to try and get to this month because I have borrowed this from my friend. I don't even know how long ago, but she probably forgot that she even owns it at this point, and I really, really need to get it back to her. So I have to prioritize this. Plus it's for, like I said, a vlog, which I have coming up, which I want to try and get up soonish. So yeah, that's going to the TBR. Then I have book involving a journey. So is it stretching to put Anne of Green Gables here? Because what's my last prompt? No, that's not going to work. Anne travels from somewhere on the mainland of Canada, I think, to Prince Edward Island. Now she does this basically before the book starts, but she travels there as an orphan to live with a brother and sister. I'm going to count it. I know it's very much stretching, but I'm going to count it because her being an orphan and her going to live with these people is like the crux of the story and where it starts, even though it's not really in the story itself. If she hadn't travelled there, it wouldn't happen. That's really stretching it, but it's my game, so I can do that. So I will be including Anne of Green Gables in my TBR. So that is for books involving a journey. This was a prompt suggested to me by Tracy, so thank you very much, Tracy. And then the final prompt is Goodreads Choice Award winner. So I went on to Goodreads and I had a look at their winners for the last few years in all of the categories. Decided that it would be easier, for obvious reasons, to choose a book that was on my TBR. So I have a couple of different books that I potentially could read, which include House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third Crescent City book. Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. And there was a third as well. The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green, which is a non-fiction basically about current times. This one is a historical fiction about a female chemist who's shut out of various different employment involving being a chemist and starts a cooking show. And then, like I said, this is the third Crescent City book, so this is a romantasy. This one, the romantasy, this I think won the historical fiction, and this one won non-fiction. I can't remember which years they won. I don't think I'm going to go with the Crescent City because it's giant. So it's going to be either of these two. I think I'm going to go with the Anthropocene Reviewed, which is weird because non-fiction is very much out of my comfort zone, as is essays and short stories, which is what this is essays. But I like John Green as a person and I like his writing style, so I want to see how he goes with non-fiction. And yeah, I've heard really good things about his non-fiction books and I want to give this one a try. So yeah, that's going on the TBR. Okay, so that was the TBR game. Those are all the books that I have chosen for the TBR and for the punishments. Like I said, I'm not going to be reading all 10 of these books, or I'm going to be reading 3. Well, I'll potentially read more, but I'm definitely going to make sure I try and read 3, because 3 will get me the reward. Not reading 3 will get me the punishment. So let's have a quick review of what these books are. We have Seasonal Read. I chose Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillick. Random Colour Generator, we came up with Bubblegum, and I chose The Angry Women's Choir by Meg Bignell. Mental Physical Health Rep, I chose the Tea Dragon Society. Central or Western Asian Author, I chose The Lion Women of Tehran by Marjan Kamali. Most Beautiful Book on my TBR, I went with Among the Burning Flowers by Samantha Shannon. Poll pick, and for that, put a poll on Instagram, and their books were The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst, The Sirens by Amelia Hart even, or Boudica's Daughter by Elodie Harper. And I'll put on screen which one won. Out of comfort zone, I have gone with horror, The House Next Door by Darcy Coates. For a project, I'm going with The Daughter of the Forest. The Tainted Cup, sorry, I forgot to say, is a punishment. It was a rollover book from last month, so that's a Tainted Cup. And then for a project, I'm going with The Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marilia. Book involving a journey. I do have a copy somewhere, but anyway, I'm going with Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. And then Goodreads Choice Award winner, I'm going with The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. So, that's the TBR. Like I said, there are a lot of books there, but I only actually have to read 3. So yeah, let me know in the comments below, basically anything that you would like to let me know. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me some kind of nature emoji, because a lot of these books have covers with nature on the cover. So leave me some natural element of an emoji. And yeah, that's everything from me today. So thank you so much for joining me. I really, really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.